The upcoming new moon is happening on Wednesday, October 6th at 7:05 a.m. Eastern in the sign of Libra, and I'm here to tell you more about it and break it down for all 12 rising signs. There are timestamps in the description below. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer. I do readings and I run an Instagram page. Please subscribe to my channel and check out the links below to follow me on Instagram or book a reading with me. So this new moon is happening at 13 degrees Libra, and it's conjoining Mars at the same time as Mercury is hanging close by, and Mercury retrograde is in full swing. So of course all of this is impacting it. Mercury retrograde is saying that there are certain things that were thrown off balance in your life. There is a certain lack of fairness and clarity, and you're trying to perhaps set new intentions based on the new information coming in. And Mars being in Libra is about relating, and it's about expressing your passions, expressing your desires, but doing so in that diplomatic context. You know, Mars in Libra is a great fighter for balance, for justice. They can be wonderful lawyers, like journalists, people exposing the lack of fairness. So dependent on the placement of Libra in your chart, you will see some of that. You will see perhaps, you know, anger bubbling up, and how do you deal with it is the big question of this new moon. So let's dive in and let's talk about the rising signs. It's going to be a quicker video, I think, just because we're gonna attack it with martial power, strength, and energy. If you are an Aries rising, this new moon is happening in your 7th house of relationships and business partnerships. So Mercury is retrograde there, and you may be questioning things. Maybe you are unsure of your relationship. Maybe you are unsure of your space in it. Maybe there's a certain sense of like, you know, how do I keep my identity while I'm with this person? How do we both stay separate, right? So new moon can indicate new beginnings in your love life. Maybe you are learning to speak up. Maybe you're starting a new business. That's also a possibility. Maybe there have been misunderstandings with your business partner, and you're actually, you know, writing a contract, or you're dividing your responsibilities in a more clear and cohesive way. I would still, you know, if you are signing any contracts, I would advise for you to wait until October 18th when Mercury goes direct, but you can definitely start talking about things and setting things in motion. There's also changes are possible and new beginnings are possible in your partner's life. Maybe they are starting something new. Maybe they're getting a job, and that's part of your questioning and, you know, you trying to figure out how do we make this work with all the changes happening in your partner's life. If you are a Taurus rising, this new moon is happening in your 6th house of health, work, service, and sacrifice. Mars is there, so it's likely that there's a lot of action happening professionally for you. Maybe just feeling like extra busy. Maybe you've been attacking a lot of things. You've had a lot of things on your plate, and there might be a certain frustration there. So with the new moon and, you know, Mars being conjuncted, Mercury being retrograde, there might be new beginnings of expressing yourself at work. Maybe you're taking less. Maybe you're learning to say no to certain things, because I think with this new moon, you should learn to prioritize your diet, your health, your sleep even, you know, like making sure you're not just there for other people, you're not just attacking all of these things, but you're also taking care of yourself. Or, you know, if you have been too focused on yourself, how can you bring some of that energy into the workplace perhaps and start taking care of things in tandem with other people? How do you express your desires? How do you express anger? How do you express frustrations with your colleagues or your bosses in a healthier way, right? I think that could be a part of it, as well as putting better structures in place, maybe even streamlining your process, right? Maybe you introduce some kind of new initiative at work, and instead of having 5 meetings every day, you have, you know, one more weekly meeting or something, and like have 3 meetings throughout the day, so things just kind of flow better. So focus on that and focus on relationships with people you work with. If you are a Gemini rising, this new moon is really great for your romantic relationships, for your relationships with your children, and any creative pursuits, as it is happening in your 5th house. Mars is there, so maybe you are trying to figure out how you can be assertive in that realm. How can you go after your creative passions? How can you begin a new creative project that is perhaps your child, but it also requires working with others? You know, I'm thinking of my Gemini rising friend, and she's working on this podcast, and it's her baby, but like she's interviewing people and she always needs to deal with these people. So it's very much about creating that collaborative effort and starting a new project. For some of you, it might signify getting pregnant, might signify starting to have a child. Maybe, you know, Libra being the sign of the other person. You're just trying to figure out how to balance your relationships with your children, your romantic partners. There could have been a sense of like a lack of joy in your life. You know, there's perhaps you've been so focused on dealing with other people, taking care of your children, taking care of your romantic partner, taking care of your parents, even perhaps. And this could be a new beginning of like finding passions, finding excitement, bringing some more of that in your life. So focus on things that make you happy and make sure to bring some friends, bring some romance, children, creativity into the mix. If you are a Cancer rising, this new moon is happening in your 4th house. And of course, with Mars being in the 4th house and conjunct the lunation, there might be some drama with your family members. Maybe you're fighting with your mom. Maybe you're fighting with your dad. Maybe you're just feeling misunderstood by the both of them. And Mercury being retrograde, right, creates some sort of tension surrounding your home. Maybe you're like living with them, but you feel over it and you feel like it's time to move out and find your independence, but you're still in this dynamic. And how do you navigate the situation without being a jerk to everyone? So this could totally be the time for you to learn to speak up for your needs and to express your desires. But once again, maybe learn to establish a new dynamic with your family, right? You don't always have to get triggered. You don't always have to engage into their attacks. Like if one of your parents is manipulative, or they're trying to convince you to stay, or they're trying to convince you to paint walls in your house a certain color, you can always choose to like disengage. You know, you can say yes, but like, or you can say no and just step away. So I think some of that could be very much about developing new relationships with your family members. There might be changes to your living situation. Maybe with Mercury being retrograde, you're kind of like looking back at an old place you used to live in and perhaps moving back into that place. Maybe you have been thinking about renovation, and Mercury retrograde can expose some of the challenges, like, you know, a pipe bursting or a child painting on the wall, and you're like, okay, now I totally have to paint it over. So, you know, there could be that, as well as 4th house deals with our inner safety, security, whatever makes us feel happy and cozy. So with the new moon there, it could also be quite a spiritual time for you, and maybe you are finding a new belief system. Maybe you're finding new friends. Maybe you're finding new community, like, you know, people and things and beliefs that make you feel more secure, make you feel more welcomed, more at home. If you are a Leo rising, this new moon is happening in your 3rd house, conjunct Mars. And of course, Mercury being retrograde in the 3rd house sometimes brings certain challenges when it comes to technology, miscommunications with siblings, confusion expressing your true thoughts or true feelings. And I think the moon sun conjunction new moon together with Mars may kind of ignite your passions and ignite your desire to express yourself with a sibling. So watch out for getting into fights with them. Watch out for being too too like on fire with like justice and trying to prove your point of view to everyone. Of course, it's important to express your feelings, but, you know, don't be that kind of mindless, I don't know, vigilante or someone who follows the belief without asking questions. I think that's what like Mercury being retrograde in the third house can sometimes ask you, like, are your thoughts about something correct? Do you have enough information? Can you do some more learning, right? So new moon in the third can definitely indicate like new beginnings with your siblings, maybe expressing something, maybe building boundaries there. There might be new technology. Maybe it's time for you to upgrade your computer or buy a new microphone if you have some kind of, podcast or any project that requires technology. Maybe learning a new skill. Could be communication, could be anything just like with your hands. And watch out for any surprising news, surprising emails, surprising new beginnings, maybe even new beginnings in the life of your sibling. Like they tell you, they're pregnant and now you have to be an aunt or an uncle. If you are a Virgo rising, this new moon is happening in your second house. Mercury is retrograde there. Perhaps there's some confusion about your finances. Mercury retrograde can always bring that dynamic of like, here's some money. It's like, no, you have to invest this money into something else. So you might be dealing with certain like confusion or the movement of money. And Mars being in your second house is perhaps like creating that desire to be independent financially, to pursue things that you're passionate about. So the new moon here, I think, is asking you to be more proactive about making money. Perhaps, you're starting a new career or you're getting engaged in some kind of competitive business. Even in your existing job, right? Like maybe you're putting yourself out there more. Maybe you're asking for more responsibilities and in turn that brings you more finances. Consulting a financial advisor could be a good idea. Starting a savings account, beginning to invest your money, or even becoming a little bit more cautious and careful with your finances are possibilities here. If you are a Libra rising, this is new moon in your first house of self, kind of a big deal. Mercury being retrograde there might have made you feel insecure about certain things, unsure about your image, unsure about the words coming out of your mouth. Maybe it's time for you to upgrade something about yourself, right? Like even your business brand, even like bring a new logo or get a new website or change the color palette, add something new to the way you express yourself in your business, or even change the color of your clothes. I'm a Libra rising and I've been feeling like purple doesn't work for me anymore. I have some purple clothes and I look at myself in them and I'm like, no, it's just not my style anymore. So with the new moon here, Mars being here, I think it's very much about your sense of self. And for a Libra rising, it's always tricky, right? Because as Libra rising, you see yourself in a partnership. But it's also very important to maintain your identity in any partnership you're in, because you might get lost. You might forget about your own needs when you are in that partnership. So I think this is the period for you, my lovely Libra risings, to reinvent yourself, to ask how can you be more independent while in a partnership, right? Like how can you prioritize your needs? Like you can still spend time with your boyfriend, girlfriend, your friends, but make sure like you have these items on the agenda and you're not sacrificing any of your items for them while still, of course, maintaining the relationship. Great time to take some kind of self-development class, learn about your astrological placements, invest into yourself, invest into your look, buy, a domain name, pay someone to help build your brand. Definitely focus on yourself and your aesthetic and you in relationship with other people. Like how are your needs getting satisfied? Because for most of you, I believe you are very good at satisfying the needs of other people. If you are a Scorpio rising, this new moon is happening in your more private place, 12th house, more spiritual, quiet, introspective time. Mars is there, and Mars being in the 12th house could be tricky. There might be a feeling of like you not doing enough, or maybe being overwhelmed, having too many things happening at the same time. So watch out for that tendency to be too harsh on yourself. I think Mercury being retrograde there at the same time is just kind of asking you, like, what kind of thoughts and feelings are not serving you? You know, what kind of patterns do you have in life that are negative, that aren't worth your time? Maybe you feel the need to satisfy the needs of others. Like maybe you're so focused on making sure everyone else is happy, and somewhere along the way you forgot about your own needs. So think about that. Focus on releasing, even though it's a new moon, like focus on maybe set intentions, or on like, you know, what kind of person you want to be in 6 months, like what kind of words you want to tell yourself, like write them out, write your own positive affirmations. Introducing a spiritual practice, maybe even a physical spiritual practice with Mars being there, you know, doing yoga, taking martial arts class could be wonderful. Starting to journal, spending some time on your own, making sure you like go into the nature. And maybe even a great period for you to go on a trip or invest some time into like esoteric astrology, you know, tarot, learning about those kind of things, or helping other people, because 12th house is the place classically connected to like hospitals, asylums, mental institutions. So maybe you can invest into that, as well as taking a trip. It's a place of foreign land. So maybe, you know, you get married and you go on vacation, or what is it called? A honeymoon. Marriage vacation, a honeymoon. And a great time too for psychotherapy. Anything like, you know, that helps you cleanse, release, take a break. If you are a Sag rising, this new moon is happening in your 11th house, and there may have been, with Mercury retrograde, certain confusion, tension in your friendships, maybe even confusion surrounding your goals, your hopes and wishes, because that's what 11th house is. What are you aspiring, right? Like, where are you going in life? What direction are you taking? So with the new moon here, Mars being here, I think it's about realizing that you're not doing things alone, and maybe learning to rely on your network, and even learning to bring more people into your life who are supportive. You know, people who can be there for you through the tough times and the happy times, because sometimes, you know, some friends are not always there when you need them to cheer you on, because maybe they get insecure by your success. So I think this could be a great new beginning about introducing new friends into your life, maybe even starting a group project, you know, starting a business with a friend. Turning some colleagues into friends is a possibility here too. You may be investing some time into like a social media project, because 11th house classically also connects to your fan base. So maybe you start an Instagram page, or you start a project that gets, you know, connected to a lot of people, like a newsletter or podcast, anything like that. And it's also a great time to focus on how your goals, how your hopes, dreams, aspirations, and even your friendships benefit the world at large, right? Like, are you getting together with your friends and you're pushing each other to be better? Or are you getting together with your friends and and it's just like about drinking and partying, and it feels emptying for your soul? So maybe there could be, you know, like a healthier approach to your friendships. If you are a Capricorn rising, the new beginnings coming to you professionally. So new moon is happening in your 10th house. Mercury being retrograde in your 10th house may have created a sense of confusion about what you want, maybe how you relate to people you work with. Maybe there were some delays with the promotion you were promised, or, you know, job confusion, like a lot of tasks and nothing moving, or certain like lack of clarity there. And Mars being conjunct the new moon is about taking action. It's about speaking up. It's about expressing your feelings and starting something new. Great time to start a new job, open your own business, ask for a promotion, get some recognition. Definitely, I see you as like being an active doer. You know, maybe even around this time you're making new plans, with Mercury still being retrograde, and then when Mercury goes direct, you put up your website or you announce something on social media. You're like, look at me, I am following my dreams, I am building myself up. And as this is the sign of Libra, it's also about other people and maybe, you know, appreciating other people in your life and how much they support your job, and even reaching out. Like, yes, you're starting new things professionally, but maybe it's time for you to reach out to an old boss or an old colleague or even your classmate you haven't spoken to in many years and be like, hey, you know, do you want to catch up? Or you know, tell them like, I know we haven't spoken for a while, but I'm looking for a job. Please let me know. And you have no idea, you know, like someone might know someone, might know someone, might know someone that will help you get that job. If you are an Aquarius rising, this new moon is happening in your 9th house. Mercury being in your 9th house, there could have been some kind of confusion about travel, education, legal matters, maybe even your beliefs, because 9th house deals with our philosophies, our life views. And now is the time for you to be more proactive about building your reality, because 9th house is very much your views that create your reality. You know, it's the house leading up to the 10th house. It's like all the knowledge you're gathering, all the places you're traveling, all the teachers you're encountering on your path towards a successful career. So with a new moon happening in the 9th house, you might get inspired to sign up for a class. You might get inspired to become a teacher. And then, like, if you are becoming a teacher, what do you need to do to actually get yourself there? Might be a great time to book a trip and maybe connect with people of foreign cultures and, you know, like ask them for help in your pursuits somehow. And if you are a writer, for example, there are possible new beginnings in like publishing or coming up with new ideas, and on a more spiritual level, just a change in your beliefs and maybe reinvention of the world. And I think could be a great time to, you know, write down some intentions and write them from a point of view of like, I'd like to believe, or like, I'd like to be successful, or I really like the world in which I am this way. So if you feel like it's hard to be, you know, 100% exact because it's not there yet, you can just focus on changing your mindset and introducing those ideas and sitting there and like feeling, do you resonate with it, or does something need to be adjusted in the way you're wording things? Last but not least, if you are a Pisces rising, this new moon is happening in your 8th house. Mercury being in the 8th may have asked you to rethink the way you share money with other people, to focus on, you know, the way other people support you or not support you, because 8th house is very much resources we share with other people. It's all the debts we have to them, like karmic debts, literal debts. And Mercury being retrograde, I think maybe, you know, made you feel like you owe things to someone. Maybe this is the time for you to revisit your finances and see how you deal with money, you know, like especially money that's coming to you from the government, or even in your relationships, you know, like if you are married, right? Like, how do you share finances? How do you pay for certain things? Like, do you pay for one thing and they pay for another, or do you tend to pay more? Do you feel not appreciated? So there could be new beginnings in a way you share resources with other people. New financial undertaking are possible, you know, with Mars being in Libra there. Maybe you're seeking to collaborate with someone. 8th house is also the house of death or esoteric mysteries, fears, psychology. So you may be learning something about it. Maybe like now is the time for you to sign up for a class and pursue a passion somehow, maybe in a collaborative effort that deals with any of those, you know, like esoteric, mysterious type of topics. Financial undertakings, getting a mortgage, getting a loan, new beginnings in the life of your partner, new financial beginnings that affect you. Maybe, you know, they get a raise and they buy you a ticket, like they buy both of you a ticket to go on vacation, are definitely possibilities here. So have a great new moon, everyone. I hope it's a beautiful one. I hope you don't get into fights, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye.